All right, so I'm gonna kind of touch on some of the same things that Shaq just spoke about. And what happens is when we've been in the business for a long time, Shaq and I, then people, they kind of see where we are right now and how we act right now. And sometimes it's helpful if we can kind of remind you guys that we started in the same chair that you started in. It doesn't always work like that in business, right? If you go and you work for some corporation, management could have been hired as managers, right? As a manager from a previous management position. They make a lateral move, they take over a different company. So the things that they tell you to do is not necessarily what they had to do. Every single thing that we tell you guys to do, we had to do those same things, except back in the day, like every story from back in the day, whether your parents tell you, your grandparents tell you, right? It was actually a lot harder because everything was physical, everything was in person. There was no technology. We didn't have iPads. We didn't have social media, right? And in reality, in the beginning, we didn't even really have an office. So we're working out of our homes and our living rooms and our cars, right? But again, remember, without technology. Now everybody does that with technology. So I want to talk today before I start my training about the importance of just showing up, how important that is. And I think that there's a lot of leaders, and I told Thomas to record this because there's people right now that aren't able to be on training or they miss training. I want you to send this message, this talk to everyone who missed training because it's very, very important. All right. How important was showing up to me when I first started? And I talk about this in the orientation if you've watched it. The meetings were everything to me. What I see a lot of times is people see meetings as, like Shaq said, an inconvenience or a nuisance, right? Or something that is repetitive. And you got to change your mindset about that. To me, I used to hear, I would see people in the meeting, I would hear the people in the meeting, and I would say, okay, I am where I am, and they are where they are, and where would I rather be on a Saturday morning? And back then we used to meet twice on Tuesday evening as well. Where can I get that kind of information if I'm not here on Tuesday and on Saturday? I want to make money without working. I want to make multiple six figures. I want to be the person in front of the room. I want to be a leader. I want to be a producer. I want to be a winner. I want to get a plaque. I want people to know who I am. I want to be respected. I want to have a lot of savings. I want great relationships, right? I want to be a person of influence. I want to be a leader. I wanted to be all these different things. And how was I going to do that if I wasn't around people that could teach me that? You got to take an inventory of the people that you are around. We're not talking about good people, bad people. What I'm talking about is how many winners are you around that are invested in teaching you how to be a winner? In my life, right now, I know a lot of winners outside Primerica, but that's because I was in Primerica and I became something in Primerica. And now I can spend time with other leaders outside of Primerica. I would have never met these people if I wasn't in this company, right? You're not friends with someone that you follow that has 10 million. That's not your friend. Just because they're posting things, you can learn, but they don't have an investment in seeing you succeed. So one of the things that I always say in my orientation is that the meeting was important to me because it was an exit strategy, right? I saw a bunch of people in my life that were average and ordinary. Again, that's not a bad thing, but it is what it is. I was hanging out with someone a couple of weeks ago, and the guy said, we're kind of determining where to eat, what to do, whatever, right? That evening, it was out of town. And he's like, hey, we got to do this, that, whatever, because I just don't want to be GP. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, part of the general public. Oh, right? That's a very arrogant thing to say. And he's this type of person, right? He was a friend of a friend. He makes a lot of money, $1 million a year. I'm not saying that that's everything. He's younger than me. But that was his mindset. I just don't want to be part of the general population. And to be honest, I mean, if we're all honest, do you? Mm-hmm. Right? I don't want to be the one sitting in traffic. I don't want to be the one, that's being told what to do by a boss. I don't want to be the one that's just making enough to get by. That's all GP. right? If you want to be beyond that, if you want to be, let's call it, outside of that, above it, however you want to, you got to do some different things, man. And I used to see that all around my life. And I was like, I got to show up to these meetings because that was my exit strategy. Look, this is the mistake that a lot of people are making is we're selling the opportunity as something that's easier than it really is. That's the problem that we have right now. And so a lot of people don't have this problem. Jen doesn't do this, right? Josh doesn't do this. A lot of other people though, if I didn't mention your name, right? I'm not thinking of everybody, but a lot of us do this. Sometimes I do it too, but it's hurting the people that we're recruiting. We are telling too many people that we hire that they don't have to do certain things because we just want them to get in, right? And we let them shortcut everything. Hey, you don't have to come to the office. Yeah, you don't. You don't even have to plug in on Zoom. Everything's optional. You don't have to take your test within 10 days. You don't have to start studying right away. You don't have to come once a month on Super Saturday. You don't have to go for your bonus. Just wait until you get licensed, whenever that is. You don't have to set appointments on Saturday. You don't have to give a list. You don't have to introduce me to people. Oh, no, don't worry. Not everybody wants to recruit. You don't have to recruit. You don't have to listen to this audio. You don't have to read this book to self-improve. You don't have to tell me what your goals are. You don't have to return my call. You don't have to. Take 3 days to return my message, return my call. Who am I to you, right? That is the wrong mindset. You can't win by making things. Where are you at, by the way? All the leaders that act like that, and you're really not a leader, right? All the people who act like that when they recruit people, where are you? Where are your people? How well are they doing? Hey, let me remind you, this is a business just like anything else. Corporate recruiting is the same way. You make a lot of calls. Imagine how many interviews and meetings corporations have to do to fill a position, and they're offering a salary. We got to go through a lot of people as it is, and you're over here telling people it's so easy and they don't have to do anything. You're making it harder on yourself. Do you want to recruit to easy, or do you want to recruit to opportunity? The opportunity is good enough. We don't have to minimize the commitment. Does that make sense? The opportunity is good enough. Where was I going to go where I could make 10,000 in one client? Where was I going to go where as a young person, I could get into management, where I could override a team, where I could get licenses in a prestigious industry, where I could be around millionaires, where I could have a mentor? People talk about other opportunities all the time. I do this, I do that, but they don't have a mentor. The question is a better opportunity than Primerica, if you think that exists, without a mentor, is that really better? Or Primerica with a mentor, with someone that's going to help you? People don't think about stuff like this, right? See, the thing is the excuse that I hear all the time is Primerica is it's voluntary. We told them that, they can do this, they can do that. Hey, look, anyone been part of, like Josh is in a football league, right? You're in a football league. Is it the NFL? No. Do you get paid to play? No. But don't you have to do certain things to win? That's voluntary too. He doesn't tell the people on the team, you don't have to show up to practice, show up to the games whenever you want, and they expect to win. There's still certain things you got to, just because it's not your main job, just because it's not your main commitment, doesn't mean there are certain things you got to do to win here. Does that make sense? Stop shortcutting everything. Stop reducing the commitment on it'll make you feel better, man. If you tell people, this is what needs to be done. Do you want to do it or not? Those are the kind of people I want to work with. Tell people up front, these are the expectations. I know Jen does that. These are all the expectations that we have from people. Shondell lays it all out. She gave me her orientation, her follow-up. It says, these are all the times we meet. These are all the things that we do. This is before we take an application on somebody. Do you want to recruit people to easy, or do you want to recruit them to people who want to win? You're hurting people, man. When people talk about coaches in their life, do they say, man, that person was so easy on me, that's why I won? Right? Is that what your son says, Shaq? He's in these challenging classes, like, this teacher's so easy, I'm learning so much. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
This coach, man, he lets us do whatever we want. I love this team, we're winning. It's never happened, right? You're not being a leader. You are not being a leader when you act like that, okay? So think about this for all the people that are on Zoom that are listening. Where do you draw the line for success? Anyone in here or anyone on Zoom, where do you draw the line to become successful? You know, is it a Saturday morning training? You're not going to win if you can't even give up 2 hours on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Driving here, right? For the people on Zoom that are far away, how far is too far to come here once a month? I mean, if you even live 8 hours away, would it be unreasonable to think to yourself, I'm not telling you to do this. Would it be unreasonable for you to think, what if I went there once a month? I made that 8-hour drive. I mean, see, always remember, you're going to succeed when you feel like you deserve success. Do you think you deserve it a little more if you did a little more? If you committed a little more, would you feel like you deserved a little more? If someone was making 400 grand 3 years from now and they said, yeah, in the beginning, I used to drive 8 hours just once a month, not every week, not every day, once a month. Would people be like, oh my God, that's crazy? No, it's completely reasonable, right? Now, let me close with this. And we always used to say this. What if you had in writing that if you did all these things that you needed to do to win, that in 24 months, you would be making $200,000 a year? Would you even think about it? Would you think about whether you should drive or not, whether you should wake up or not, whether you should set appointments or not, whether you should get your license or not, whether you should study or not, whether you should overcome your fears or not? Would you think about any of these things if you had in writing guaranteed in 24 months you would make 200? That's the difference between belief and not. See, we read all the memes, right? Believe in yourself. It's all about belief. But do you really believe? See, we acted as if we knew it was going to happen, but it wasn't a guarantee, but that's how we acted. That's real belief. If it was in writing, you would do it. Since it's not in writing, you won't. That's a lack of belief. And that's another thing that training gives us. It gives us belief. Dude, I came in as a chemistry major and as a bank teller, which is basically a cashier. I had never had a real job. I waited tables and I was a cashier at a bank, which is a bank teller, right? I dressed nicer than a cashier, but that's what I was. But that's not the person standing in front of you today. How am I making the money I'm making today? Because I made a personal change. I had a transformation. So we're letting everybody off the hook for everything. How are they going to change and how are they going to transform? If I'm talking to you, how are you going to change? How are you going to transform? You're avoiding the very things that are going to help you get what you want, right? You need new ideas. You need new thoughts. You need examples of new behavior. That's how you are going to learn. That is how you are going to grow. So going forward, let's get people to commit to do the things that are going to help them. And then in return, they help us. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to hit on that